And it like, this whole little part was like pissing me off, because I don't think he realized how disrespectful he was sounding, saying that Paige isn't what he wants, she's not a trophy wife, like just saying all this stuff. It's like, Chris, what are you bringing to the table? Like, what are you bringing to the table that you want to sit up here and say that Paige isn't what I want and she's not, like trying to make it seem like you've known this girl for 2 minutes. Give her a chance. Like, I can't stand Chris. I can't stand Chris. I'm done with him already. Hey everyone, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video. So I am back with the Married at First Sight reviews. We are starting things off with episode 3. I was really anticipating this episode because the way they teased it last episode, I was really concerned for Paige, and even after this episode played out, I am still worried about Paige and where their marriage is going to go. We're gonna get right into that. So of course, as I was hoping, they picked up where they last left off last episode with Chris and Paige's wedding. So, they show Chris huffing and puffing at the altar. He's, really nervous, which, anybody would be. But again, I'm already going into this not having a good feeling about Chris. Paige starts walking out and I get super duper nervous. But as soon as she turned around the corner, it seemed though, Chris was, my dog just ate something. It seemed that, they both had smiles on their faces and they started playing happy music. But the happy music did not change my mood at all. I literally was just sitting there like, okay, because normally they'll cut to a confessional of the groom saying whether or not they're attracted to the bride. Sometimes they do it with the bride too, like they'll cut to the bride saying, oh, I'm attracted or I'm not attracted. But they kind of just kept it moving with the ceremony, so I didn't really know where Chris stood. Even though he seemed happy, I wasn't really buying it until I actually heard him say it. So yeah, they do the little ceremony thing, and then at the kissing part, he did ask Paige, could he kiss her on the lips, and it was kind of like a awkward exchange because she said yeah, and then he was like, oh, but like on the lips, and it's like, Chris, just do it. So they did kiss at the altar. And at this point in the episode, he says that he is attracted to her. And I'm like, okay, so he does say it. So they start talking about, their lifestyles and things like that. He finds out that she is an accountant. And then she asks him, so, what's your occupation? Like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm the youngest black CEO of the... And I'm like, you're capping. Like, anytime someone gives, like, this long spiel of, like, what they do, they're usually capping. But, he says he's an entrepreneur. Cool, I'm not hating on that, as a entrepreneur myself. And then, this is where things start to go downhill. She notices that he has, this tattoo that she really likes, and she notices that the tattoo is super fresh. So she's like, oh, like, what prompted you to get this tattoo? And then that's when we go into all the stuff with his ex. So he was engaged 3 months prior to him doing this really wrong move. I'm really curious to know if the experts knew that, or if he kept that to himself and didn't tell anybody. I'm not sure, because Chris has been getting a lot of hate on social media. A lot of these couples have been getting a lot of hate on social media, and I did see Pastor Cal kind of clear up in the comments that a lot of the behavior that they've been seeing this season is very shocking to them. So I'm wondering if Chris was just able to, like, convince these experts that he was someone that he wasn't, And so now that the cameras are around, it's like the real deal. He's actually showing his true colors, and even the experts are like, "Oh no!" So I don't know, like, you know, it's bad, man. It's bad. So, and you know, he kept talking about his ex. When she asked about, no, he asked her, did she have a dog, and apparently her dog is the same breed of dog that his ex had, and it just, I just in this moment, I felt so bad for Paige, because even in her confessional, she was like, you know, why is this man comparing me to his ex? And no woman wants to feel compared to another woman. That's like literally the most sucky feeling, and it also causes a lot of insecurities in women when you're constantly being compared to other women as if you're not enough, or you feel pressure to kind of like you know, be how this other person was. And my heart broke when she said that she hated being compared, because, you know, again, I just really don't want Paige to get hurt this season, but it's not looking good at all. And then so we get to Haley and Jacob's wedding. Jacob is eating in his groom suite, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I guess I just wasn't expecting it. I feel like I'd be too nervous to eat anything. We see Haley putting a bow on her dog. Haley says she's super nervous. And then we get back to Jacob, and his brother gave him some really good advice and basically told him that, you know, it's important to have open communication in your marriage. And I feel like this is something that like all couples say, but it's true. And it's like whether or not you're in a marriage, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend, even in friendships, like any type of relationship that you have with people, communication is like a big thing. Like you need to have open communication and let people know how you feel, and not let things like fester and, you know, not get resolved, because that can cause issues, and that can cause a divorce just from miscommunication alone. So I think that was really good advice. So yeah, so so we get to the wedding. Haley is walking down the aisle. She gets to Jacob, and things become awkward, right? And they kind of stay that way for them too. Jacob did not seem excited at all. He did not seem enthused. He did not seem like he was into it. Haley was trying to be a good sport about it, because she could tell that things were awkward, but she just was trying to, like, you know, make it lighthearted and a little bit more fun. And but I think she could pick up on the fact that he wasn't really like giving her the same energy, and it just was really, really weird. And I'm thinking to myself, like, he must not be attracted to her, because the way that he just was acting was weird. And I don't know, it seemed like they strategically knew what couples to show in certain episodes, right? Because the first episode seemed very, very hopeful. Like all the couples were attracted to each other. They all were really excited. They all were really into it. And then this episode, you had two couples getting married that didn't really seem to be into each other. It was awkward, or there were like red flags that showed up immediately. So the producers definitely knew what they were doing with these episodes. And so yeah, and then they did end up kissing at the altar, but it was very, very awkward. Like, you know, the whole ceremony. But after that, he does say that Haley is attractive. He said that her butt was majestic. I don't understand why. Like, I know it's a man thing. Like, men, they're just so caught up in women's bodies. Like, that's like the first thing that they notice or pick up on. So, but hopefully that attraction that he has will, you know, be he'll find attraction in other things other than her behind. And so we get to Paige and Chris's photo shoot. Again, super awkward. And then during Haley and Jacob's photo shoot, Haley started drinking more alcohol. I think she really was just trying to calm her nerves. I don't think she was overdoing it like Virginia, but like I said, that could be editing. Her and Virginia might have been drinking the same amount their wedding nights. We don't know, but it appeared that even though Haley was drinking a bit, it was more so to like calm her nerves, and it didn't seem to really affect her like that. So I didn't really mind it. And then I noticed that in her confessional, one of the producers, you know, because they asked, you know, people questions, And they asked Haley, what did she like about her husband, and she couldn't think of not one thing to say. So, yeah, I don't know where that's gonna go, because it just doesn't seem like, I mean, I'm sure they find themselves attractive physically, because I think they both said that they found each other attractive physically, but you're gonna need more than that to want to stay in a marriage. So hopefully as the season goes on, they'll find more things that they like about each other, and they can figure out, why the experts pair them together. So during Paige and Chris's dance, Chris asks Paige, first of all, he's asking Paige a lot of questions, and I do believe that you should ask a lot of questions. I mean, you are marrying a stranger. I don't see the point in really wasting time. So I don't mind going ahead asking a bunch of questions, trying to get to know one another. But a lot of the questions that Chris kept asking Paige just seemed not only very surface level and just didn't matter, but also very like shallow. He asked Paige, does she wear makeup often? And she said no. And he was like, interesting, and I don't know what that meant. He asked her, does she like designer shoes? Again, what does that matter? I just feel like Chris is just such a materialistic person, and maybe he wants a wife that is also materialistic, and I'll get into that later when he starts talking to her friends. He also asked her if she's a virgin, asked her if she's a virgin, asked if she's affectionate, and asked does she have a high sex drive. And it's like, Chris, like, I don't know. Like, to me, I just think that maybe his view of marriage just is not realistic. I feel like he's literally looking, like, the way he views marriage is that the wife is kind of just there as something nice to look at and something to please him. And I don't think he realizes that with Paige is bringing a lot to the table. She's successful, she's very intelligent, and she seems very humble and down to earth. And I don't think that he said that he's not used to having that. And I don't know, for some reason it's weird that he is just, I don't know, it's weird. Oh, and he also asked her, was she on contraception, meaning birth control or something like that. And we'll get into that later, because I don't really like to talk about the previews too much, but we gotta talk about the previews. So then we get to Brianna and Vincent, and Brianna's friend asks her, is she open to getting Vincent's last name? And she said, yeah, I am open to it. And her friend was like, like, do you see yourself getting his name, like, after all this is done, you guys make it, or a little bit sooner than that? And she was like, soon. So I think that she's really confident that her and Vincent are going to work out. And her friend even made like a Miles Morales joke, because Vincent's last name is Morales, so I thought that was really funny. And then we get back to Haley and Jacob. They're talking at the reception, but they don't really seem to have anything in common. They literally show clips of Haley talking about one thing and then Jacob saying the complete opposite. So yeah, I don't know where their marriage is gonna head to. So then we get back to one of the most interesting couples on this season, Eric and Virginia. Eric goes to talk to Virginia's mom with the purple streaks in her hair. Yeah, all that goes well. And then is this okay? Yeah, so I forgot to write this down, but Virginia, when she was talking to his friends, she was like, any advice you guys can give me? All the couples will ask people on their spouse's side of the family, like, what advice can you give me to kind of deal with this person? And they were kind of telling her, like, listen, all that partying and going out, it's not gonna fly. He wants his woman to stay at home, cook him a good meal, enjoy a nice movie, indoors at home, and that's his like fun time. Like, that's what's fun to him. And she was kind of looking like, okay. So we'll see how their dynamic works, and if each one of them is willing to bend for the other person. So then Paige and Chris, they talk to each other's families as well. Now, at this point, I'm like, okay, I see where Chris gets a lot of his personality from, because Yeah, his father, I was like, yeah, this is where Chris gets it from. Because his father, as he's talking to Paige, Paige is just, talking. And Chris's father is like, oh my God, like, I'm so impressed with her. And in the confessional, he didn't say it to her face, but in the confessional, or did he say it to her face? I can't remember, but I think it was in a confessional. He was like, he's really impressed with Paige because she's established and articulate. And I'm like, what kind of girls is Chris dating? And then this is when I started to put the puzzle pieces together, that Chris is used to dating women. Actually, you know what? No, we're gonna get to that part. Chris's mom gave Paige some really good advice as well. She said to never, like, don't stay mad at each other for too long. Like, don't go weeks and months being mad about something. Just go ahead and get it out there. Talk about it, communicate. And I thought that was really, really good advice. Let's see. Oh, she also said don't rush babies, because again, Chris, very odd, is trying to rush babies with this woman, and he doesn't even know who she is. Yes, they are married, but you still have like the experiment like portion of it. Like, you're still trying to see if this thing is going to work, and you're already talking about kids. Like, kids are a lifelong thing. Hold on. All right, y'all, sorry, I'm back. So yeah, so then Chris's dad is like, his piece of advice to Paige was to make sure that she's intimate with Chris. And I'm like, again, like, I'm just seeing more and more that Chris is definitely a product of his environment. Because again, I said last episode that when they had his family mic'd up, they were saying stuff like, oh, I hope she's not gonna be ugly. And we heard Chris talk so much about how he was worried about her appearance. And now this episode, he's talking about, oh, I want my wife to be intimate, have a high sex drive, I want babies immediately. And here comes his dad being like, you need to make sure that you're intimate with him. Like, priorities, people, priorities. Like, I don't understand why. Like, I get it, like, yes, intimacy is a huge part of marriage and relationships, but Chris seems to only be focused on that, and that's gonna cause problems. Because again, Paige is, Paige isn't just someone to sleep with and have babies with, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she's more than that. So I don't know. I don't see this being a good situation, honestly. And I don't even know how someone like Chris could have even gotten past the experts. But again, he does kind of come across as, even though he literally says stuff that you're like, oh, red flag, he does have a bit of charisma, and maybe he is kind of able to kind of get away with certain things and try, and like, maybe he's just, good with his words that way, but I don't know. But yeah, so then we get to Chris talking to Paige's friends, and he tells her friend that he was engaged. And this is the same friend from, again, last episode that was like, girl, what if he's, the type of person to clip his toenails at the airport? I like her friend. Like, that friend keeps it all the way real, but she got some really good friends. Excuse me. And so she was like, like that, kind of gave her pause that, he just was engaged, and now he's wanting to have kids, with Paige and things like that. Now, this is where we finally get to the truth, okay? We finally get to what I have been feeling this entire episode. Like, as soon as he said this, I was like, I knew it. Because this whole episode, I wasn't buying it. Even when Chris was like, yeah, I'm attracted to her, she's beautiful. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not buying it. Because his facial expressions and the way that he was acting wasn't matching his words at all. And he finally said it. He told in the confessionals that he was not attracted to Paige. And I'm like, I knew it. And he tried to sugarcoat it a little bit, like, oh, it has nothing to do with, her looks and stuff. She's just not what I normally go for. Sure, we'll go with that. But, and you know what, I think maybe there is some truth to that, because again, as he's talking to her friends, and I'm surprised her friends didn't go off more than they did. I guess because they were trying to keep it respectful. But when he was like, Paige is the girl that I need, but not the girl that I want. If I was one of her friends, I would have been like, what does that mean? Like, what do you, I think one of her friends did say, what did you mean? But she said it in like a nice way. I would have been like, what do you mean she's not the girl that you want? Like, what does that even mean? And then, and this is where I was trying to go with earlier is, you know, he talks about how the women that he's used to dating are women that like need him, women that he has to like pay, like he like women that he like takes care of, women that he kind of you know, women that like trophy wives basically. He wants a trophy wife. He wants a wife that kind of just sits back and, you know, is there again, there to please him, there to take care of him, and he'll take care of her with like all these nice things, kind of like like a trophy wife, like kind of like to show off, like, hey, like this is my woman, and you know, this and that. And I like that her friend checked him too to say like, Paige is a trophy wife. You like, it's all about your perspective and your mindset. Like the way that he views a trophy wife is literally just a wife that just sits there and doesn't do anything except please him all day and have his kids and nothing else, and looks good, because he likes to look good. He likes expensive materialistic stuff, and so he wants his wife to do the same, and he wants his wife to look like a 10 out of 10 all the time, you know, because other people are watching them. And again, it's just very shallow, and it like this whole little part was like pissing me off, because I don't think you realize how disrespectful he was sounding, saying that Paige isn't what he wants, she's not a trophy wife, like just saying all this stuff. It's like, Chris, what are you bringing to the table? Like, what are you bringing to the table that you want to sit up here and say that Paige isn't what I want and she's not, like trying to make it seem like she, like, you've known this girl for 2 minutes, give her a chance. Like, I can't stand Chris. I can't stand Chris. I'm done with him already. Oh, okay. So what I found interesting as well, and her friends pointed this out too. Her friends are really, she needs to make sure she keeps those friends around, because they peep stuff. Chris has been talking this whole wedding about how he wants a honeymoon baby, he wants kids, he wants children, doesn't want his wife to be on contraception, all this stuff, but yet you're not attracted to her. And he knew from the get-go that he wasn't attracted to her. So I'm not understanding why he's desperately wanting children with someone that he's not attracted to. It's like, again, children are a lifetime commitment, even if you're not married. And it's like, why would you want that lifetime commitment of having a child with someone that you don't even know if you want to be with them or not? And I think his whole thing with the kid is that he wants his legacy to pass on. But again, you have time for that. Like, how about see if this marriage is actually something that you want to be in first before you go and start having children? Like, I just don't understand what his obsession is with kids. And I forget how old he is, but either way, it's weird how much he's pushing this. It's very odd. But yeah, Paige has some really good friends, because they were picking up on all the red flags. I'm like, I need some friends like that. They can spot a fake dude a mile away. But anyway, so all the weddings at this point are over. They get to the suites. Virginia, of course, starts drinking alcohol as soon as she gets there, but at least she's drinking with Eric, so I guess that's a good thing. Clara has a hard time in the bathroom getting her hair undone, which was kind of funny. Let's see. Chris talks about Chris talks about Paige's body again, because that's all he could think about. Brianna and Vincent, you know, they're lovey-dovey. We don't expect anything different from them. Jacob falls asleep while Haley is getting ready for bed, but he does wake up by the time that she gets into bed with him. And Eric mentioned that Virginia laughs a lot, which I picked up on that last episode. I'm like, this girl, but I think some of that to do with the alcohol too. Some people do have like nervous laughter, so I think that probably had like a a effect on it. But yeah, Virginia, she's a character. But yeah, so that's about it. And oh, they also showed Virginia and Eric kissing and making out. So I don't know, because usually I don't know if it's required to say whether or not you like consummated your marriage. I don't think it's a requirement, because I remember there was one couple, one season that never. Oh no, they did end up telling the producers, but like way after the fact. Like they had already consummated like weeks before they actually told the cameras. I think that is something that you should keep private. I mean, if you want to tell the cameras, you can. You are being documented. It is an experiment. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if people do decide to do that, if they're going to tell the cameras, or if they're going to just keep it to themselves, or if they're going to kind of hint to it like a lot of them do. But anyway, we get to the previews. I'm not going to go too much into it, because you know, some people, they don't like previews because they feel like it spoils the episode. I don't consider previews to be a spoiler. I just consider like some of the stuff that you see online when people are leaking like who stayed with who. I consider those spoilers, and I don't mess with that. But I'm all for a good preview. So I took a couple of notes because it was going so fast and my mouth was just wide open the whole time. Because I'm not gonna lie, these past couple of episodes have been kind of boring. Like, I'm just like, I'm not really getting into it. But it looks like this season is actually going to be pretty good. So they actually show Eric and Chris kind of bumping heads. You know, Eric, it seems like Eric just really doesn't like Chris because of his like morals and values. And I'm here for it. Like, check him, Eric. Like, Chris is just, and they showed a few times in the preview the men being like, Chris, what are you doing? Like, get it together. Like, this is irresponsible. Like, what are you doing? We actually find out in the preview that Chris has a baby on the way. Now, I did know this already because, again, I was actually watching another review on YouTube, and the people that I was watching spoiled that because they said that they saw it in the blogs and stuff like that. So I actually already knew about Chris having the child on the way, but I thought that happened like after the experiment. So apparently this was happening during the experiment, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sure Chris didn't mean for this to happen. And so I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, oh, he did this intentionally, because I don't think that's the case at all. But I feel so bad for Paige, because now she's gonna have to like deal with this, at least for the time being. And it seems like Paige is actually gonna make an effort to deal with it. And like, if Chris was actually a really good dude who seemed to like really like, if this was like a Brianna and Vincent situation, and Vincent had a kid on the way that he didn't know about, and Brianna was willing to deal with it, I can root for that more than with Chris, because Chris just doesn't seem like a good person. And so it's hard for me to be like that Paige should be strong and power through it, because I'm like, no, like, she deserves better than Chris anyway. Just leave him. But anyway, so we find out that he has a baby on the way. Chris. So we also find out too, because I think Paige was sitting down with Pastor Cal, we found out that Chris and Paige are having sex every single day. From the day that they, whatever day, I don't know if they're gonna do it on their honeymoon or not. Or no, not honeymoon. I don't know if they're going to do it on their wedding night or not. But whenever that starts, they're going to be doing it like every single day. And it's like, Chris, like, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't, like, every day. Like, he's really treating Paige like she is just a piece of meat. Like, it's just, oh my God, it pisses me off. Like, and I don't know if him wanting to have sex every single day stems from him desperately wanting a child, or does it stem from him having a sex addiction problem? Or both. I don't know, but I'm just like, dang. And then come to find out they weren't using protection either. So I'm like, and I don't know how far into the marriage that conversation happens, but if you're having sex every single day, and imagine like a month goes by, at some point in that month you're gonna be like, you know, ovulating and things like that. So I'm like, he probably is gonna get Paige pregnant. And it seems like a lot of the other husbands on the show are looking at Chris like, yo, you're being super irresponsible. And even some of the women, I forgot who it was that he was talking to. He was talking to one of the wives. It looked like they were hiking or something, and she was like, you know, like, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna handle this? And he basically told her mind her business. Like, ooh, Chris is the new Brandon. If y'all remember that season with Brandon and Taylor, that's gonna be Chris. And so Chris probably isn't gonna be trying to fight production, but I already don't like him at all. And I'm pretty sure that when they have a reunion, Chris probably ain't gonna show up. So anyway, we do see a few of the couples say that they love each other. I think it was Brianna and Vincent, and Eric and Virginia. I think they both of those couples end up saying that they love each other. But then we see that Clara tells Ryan, that's his name, right? Clara tells Ryan that she loves him. And, you know, he's like, oh, you know, I've never said it before. But I think that's just editing. I think he's going to end up saying it back. We see that Eric has, like, I don't know if you want to call it jealousy. But him and Virginia have, like, a moment. It looks like it's going to be during the honeymoon, where he's basically like, listen, you can't really have, like, guy friends when you're in a marriage. And Virginia's like, no, I'm going to have guy friends. And then Virginia accuses him of being jealous. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I wasn't expecting them to have that kind of argument. I thought their arguments was gonna come from them having two different lifestyles. But, I don't know. Apparently there's some stuff going on with that. And then we briefly see that Jacob accuses Haley of possibly cheating on him. So, and we also see Haley say that she connects with multiple people. So, this is actually looking to be a really good season. I'm really looking forward to it picking up finally, because again, it's been kind of slow, but it's definitely going to be a good season. And yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below about this episode and what you guys thought of the previews. And also, if you guys want me to refrain from talking about the previews, let me know that as well, and I'll stop. But if you guys don't mind, then I'll continue to do it at the end of each episode. And yeah, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up, and if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel. If you're not logged into a Gmail account, go ahead and do that so you can like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.